Hello, my name is Karl Meneghella, and I'd like to welcome you to this season of Coffee with Karl. In each episode, we welcome guests from all over the world who are here to share their knowledge, insights and wisdom in topics both big and small. Hopefully every episode will also have some tips, tools and takeaways that you can use to further your personal and your professional growth. So thank you very much for joining me in Coffee with Karl. Thank you. Hello, my name is Karl Meneghella and welcome to this episode of Coffee with Karl. Today we're going to be talking about sustainability. Not just sustainability on a global sense, but sustainability on a personal sense. What can you do? What can I do? What can we do to live in a more sustainable manner on this earth that we all share? Today I'm very pleased to introduce Mr. Amir Hussain Tagapoor. Amir, great to see you again.
Very nice to meet you. Great pleasure.
Very good. And we're going to talk about sustainability. What are your first thoughts about sustainability when you hear the word?
Okay, simply what I can say about the sustainability when we want to segregate this terminology, I can say ability to sustain. Okay.
I like it. I like
ability to sustain.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to start, first of all, I can say a project in the daily life, a plan, you have to plan to do something. It is probably difficult to start. Okay, the hardest part is the starting part.
Yes.
And after a while, okay, still probably you keep doing that, but keep doing that steadily or kind of sustainably is a kind of difficult part. That's why we call it ability to keep going on and ability to keep being sustainable.
So for those of our audience who are experimenting with their language proficiency, ESL students, you could imagine this as a student, for example, if you have to do a major assignment. And you might start all energetically for the first hour, and then you start to get tired, and then the next hour is harder. And I think rather than going and seeing it decrease, have a plan from the outset so that it's sustainable. So you say, my assignment is due here, I am here, I'm going to do this amount of work each day, so that at the end of it, you're ready, rather than waiting until the very end and then you have to cram it in, which is a word we use when you have to put everything into a short period of time. And it doesn't work, you become exhausted. So sustainability is talking about planning in particular.
Definitely.
Okay, what else for sustainability?
All right, what I can say, we have to come up with the ingredients of sustainability.
I like that, the ingredients.
The ingredients. Okay. Let's say we want to cook the sustainability for any projects, okay? One of the ingredients is patience, I can say. So you may start a project, you may start to have to do something, but if you're not patient, definitely you won't expect to be sustainable and keep doing that. So patience is important. Having enough knowledge of what you want to do. Okay, as I kind of also probably explained earlier, that you must have enough observation, then evaluation of your observation. This is kind of a circle. After that, examining that, test that, then you find the bugs in the system, then remove the bugs or rectify the risks. After that, coming up with adjusted plan to keep doing again and over again.
And hence that over and over again, that's sustainability.
Sustainability,
so you can keep
exactly.
on going. Almost a perpetual motion, not quite.
Exactly.
All the scientists will ring in and say, no, it doesn't exist. But yes, almost a perpetual motion. Okay, I like that. So sustainability on an organizational level, I know the United Nations has the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. I know here at PSBU, we're very, very strong on some of those. Things like no poverty. PSBU has 100% scholarships. I think that's a wonderful initiative where they get to invite students, especially marginalised students from remote areas. SDG 4 is about quality education. And these are critical. Around the world, there are 300 million girls and women who cannot get access to education, whether it's through economics, through religion, whatever reason. 300 million.
That's quite a big number.
It's
huge
terrible,
number.
Isn't it? It's terrible. But there are also some of the SDGs relate more to industry, for example, becoming cleaner in our industry, in our work, the way we work, the way we operate. You talked earlier about AI, our need to actually re-educate ourselves to make our work more sustainable,
That's right.
our careers more sustainable.
Correct.
Would you like to elaborate on any of those that are close to your heart?
All right. Speaking of sustainability in the work, I can say, let's go to make it simple. What I can say, because when we want to have sustainability in organization, in university, and so on, start with human resources.
It seems so logical, but you're right. Yes.
Isn't it? So, human resources, we want to kind of implement a project, either in terms in the scale of a company, organization, university, and so on. And as you mentioned, for 17 items of like SDGs.
Yes.
So we need a team of the people. So we need a couple of human resources.
So let's put it in the context of a university then. Let's say the university wants to develop a new course, like a new bachelor, so a bachelor in business, for example. They can't just say, let's start. They need to have a team. They need to, what then? What's the next step? They have their people together, hopefully people that are qualified in the various areas. So if it's a Bachelor of Education or a Bachelor of Business, curriculum design, assessment, teaching and learning, pedagogy, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Then what do? They just start, or what happens?
Okay, that is a very good point actually. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Well, like any other tribes, like any other like the teams, there must be a leader in the team, okay? I don't mention like one or two leaders, but at least there must be someone who leads the team.
Someone driving.
Someone driving, exactly. Then, not just get into the job and starting that. Before that, there must be some understanding, common understanding. They must have some intersection of mutual understanding of what they're going to do.
I like your phrasing, intersection of mutual understanding. So for those of you who are thinking about doing things in management, as an example, or in administration, or in leadership, here's a really good takeaway, is you need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to share the vision so that your team has this intersection. What was it? The intersection of
mutual understanding of the projects that they want to do.
That would be your job as a leader. Okay, all right, so let's assume the leader, he or she has got that. They've got the team buzzing. They understand the direction. They know they're going over that way. What's next?
Okay, perfect. So at the beginning, probably, and also this process of sustainability in anything is taking time. Okay.
Hence your word about patience.
So time and timeline, and also as I mentioned, patience is very important for the leader and the other team members if they want to keep these like projects or plans sustainable. So after they get coming up with like mutual understanding, the more understanding during the time being that they have, the better it is actually for the team. After that, it's a matter of education. The leader usually probably most of the times knows much more than the other team members. The leader is responsible to reduce, to mitigate the risks by training the other team members. Okay, so it's a matter of education and HR and training as well.
Which is why you talk about patience, which a lot of our young audience find very hard to master. And I know, and this is going to make me sound like an old grumpy man, which I am. I'm a grumpy old man. But in my day, we had different foundations.
Right.
And I know we talked earlier before this, but foundations, the family was a very strong foundation. Correct. Our friends were a very strong foundation. And I'd argue today that we don't have friends in the same sense of the olden days. Our work was a strong foundation, and things took time. The world was slower, and so I think as a matter of necessity, we had more patience.
True.
Now I think we want it now. I want to get onto my phone, there's the answer. And it may not be the best answer. It's an answer, now we can move on. And I think that's a hazard sometimes. I think we need to actually be patient, and like you talked, I know you come from an engineering background, so project management as well. We need to be able to say, okay, it's not going to all happen tomorrow. It's going to take some time. And what is our pathway to get to here successfully? Right. So there's going to be sustainability in the project, but then you have sustainability in the product at the end.
That's right.
Right. So it's two aspects. How do we sustain the team? And then how do we make it so the product at the end of it is in of itself sustainable?
That is a very good point that you're mentioning now, especially nowadays. Now we are in 2025. The kind of the advancement of technology, and day by day or year by year, we're kind of in confronting that. We're kind of facing these. This is an obstacle for sustainability, I can say. Although it has some good points, and also, but this one is like an obstacle for the new generations, because the new generations, they are not like
old people.
Yeah. No, like I can say this is a kind of a benefit of like the previous generations. I don't say old, but previous generations, they had like a strong foundation that was like a column. There's a strong columns for any base of like the family, yes. The family relationship, friendship, and also the company and the business relationship.
Could we look at friendship for a second? Because I know that's going to relate with our audience.
Right.
If you and I play chess online, it'll literally be me on an app or a phone or a computer, and you, wherever you are in the world, back in Iran, for example, we play. And because it's online, it's just play the moves. But if we play together, the chessboard's here, right. I'm sure it's going to be deeper. We're going to be able to talk, make comments, while we're still contemplating moves. That's already, to me, a deeper game.
Exactly. Right? It's a matter of depths in the feeling that
right.
we have.
I would argue that today many people say, I have many friends. But if they actually look at what a friend is, I think we'd find that we probably only have 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7, 8. If we're very, very lucky and work hard, maybe 10. But the hundreds of people that we know, they're not friends. There might be colleagues, there might be people that we study with, like at university, your classmates. Some of them might be friends, some of them aren't, but even the terminology friend is something to be examined, because I think a lot of the younger people are bereft of friendship, and they're losing the face-to-face interaction, the face-to-face communication. And that's not sustainable. That's going to make us more divisive.
What we are discussing now, I believe that is so simple concept that many might ignore it, okay? But these are the main root cause of not being sustainable. Okay, patience is one of them. Another one, the technology advancement that we have, but the thing is changing the culture, is changing the manner of the people, yes. Especially new generations. And that's why probably in social medias, people, they have like thousands of followers or following the other people, but in reality, like probably less than 10. They're really kind of get in touch and kind of having some feeling sharing with them. And that is also another thing, not to let us to be sustainable. Okay, it's a kind of lifestyle when it's changed or affected by the technology and the fastness and the speed of like changing. That's also another thing. But this is also not only the responsibility of the leaders, but also the other team members. They must also feel responsible towards the leader, to having like some contribution and to be trying, at least having some efforts, yes, to keep working on like the sustainability.
We actually have a team here, which you cannot see, but we have a team behind us of camera people, of lighting technicians, producers, and they're actually a team together. And it's probably one time when they actually come together. They're actually working together for a shared goal. And know the output of this goal is one episode. I think what you're saying, and I want to pull that thread a bit, is we're becoming more individual.
That's
and we're
correct.
Becoming more separate.
Individualism is a kind of...
Right, and it has, there's pros. It's good to be self-aware, self-made, but we are part of a world we share. We're part of a community. And there's a phrase, Ubuntu, which is like a software, but the phrase comes from Africa, Ubuntu or Ubuntu, which means I am because of we, that sense of the community. So I am because of we. And I think we're losing that. I think
Definitely.
we're losing that, and so then things. If we're all if we're in different factions, and we're divided, how do we become a sustainable entity?
I can't
that's-
say. That's $1 million question.
It is.
That is so tough, actually. Especially, it's getting more and more difficult. It's a matter of trust. Trust and sacrificing.
Where do we
This
find?
kind of feeling of sacrifice, as you said, okay, I do for, as I said, there was like a cartoon when we were kind of younger, one for all for one.
Yes, yes.
Okay?
Yeah. The
So
Three Musketeers.
This is a culture, one for all for one. It should be rooted in deeply to the culture and the behavior of all team members.
And yet, like with everything, there's pros and cons. The pros are, yes, let's get unification. The con is maybe we get nationalism where we start having things like racism or anti-immigration. We're seeing now in Australia, for example, lots of problems with neo-Nazis. We're seeing different problems with different political situations around the world. And some of it, they say, oh, we're all together. They're forgetting that they're together against those people. We actually need to be together across. And I know we were talking at dinner last night that if you take away the water, if we didn't have borders, all of a sudden it wouldn't be them and us, it'd be us. If you could walk, if I could walk from here to Iran, for example, it wouldn't be this sense of it being so different. It's just part of us. And I think that's worth looking at because we are becoming more divided, we are becoming more individual, we're becoming less unified, and the groups that do become unified often don't necessarily represent society as a whole. They have their own agenda. And you mentioned trust. How do we trust the news? You look at any event and left-wing newspapers report one way, right-wing report a different way, the same event. The middle of the road will report differently again, but who do you trust? And that's a problem. We didn't have that 50 years ago. We did have it. It didn't seem to be so manipulative. Like today, where do kids go to get information? How do they evaluate the information?
So what I can say, one of the solution, because we know all the time there are problems, okay? And we're trying as a human beings, we're trying to have some contribution to solve the problems or find a solution for the problems. The thing is, trust, patience, and kind of we're getting divided. Also, there are always risk in our life, in our workplace, and so on. The thing is, this is not something external for all team members. It must be kind of started from inside. It's intrinsic, okay? Start from yourself. Okay, there are many difficulties caused by the others, probably for us. But however, we have to get stronger. We have to be stronger and not giving up. Sustainability, it means don't give up or never give up. Okay? This is also another simple or a street talk.
It's almost too simple. I like it.
Never give up.
I'm sure there are students out there that have to do group work and assignments in a group situation. Maybe you're presenting a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe you're doing a collaborative assignment. I remember as a student, I hated that because it meant that you were relying on all the group working together, and there always seemed to be one person who didn't do the same amount of work. And maybe that was just me subjectively making that observation. But I used to dislike group work because there wasn't that sense of all of us putting in 100%. And I think that's, so even on a personal level, that sense of trust, that sense of intrinsic, who am I, what am I giving to this? And this could be a skill for students out there to be, I'm going to be a group member, a proactive member of this team. I'm going to over-deliver, under-promise, over-deliver. And that means more people are going to ask you to be on your team or for you to be on their team. And again, it starts to become sustainable. You're the person to go to, and that becomes a habit.
Correct. It should be a culture.
Yes, yes.
Because culture is taking time to be created and also to be changed. Even though it probably is not a matter of a couple of years or a couple of months or something like that. The culture can take maybe 100 years or maybe decades to kind of one step forward to getting better and better. But at least just the small contribution now from each individual, the result can be shown like a couple of decades later.
Yes, yes. SDG 9 talks about industry. And you gave an example in a previous episode about tyres recycling.
That's right.
And you talked about extruding the metal out of it to use for construction.
That's
is that
correct.
right? And then we could take the rubber, and I've seen the rubber being used for playground flooring.
Definitely.
So that tyre, which would have gone into landfill, is now being reused, recycled, which also means we don't just reuse the tyre, we don't have to use more fossil fuels and more minerals from the earth. So it's a double win, right? So we're using less minerals and we're making something new out of it, so the differential is bigger, all right? That's a company, and I understand that. What can people do as individuals to help promote sustainability? So as an individual, what can I do?
All right, in a personal life, let's kind of, the example that I've we discussed, that was for the recycling industry. But in a personal life, what we can say, having a small contribution every day, if it's like for water usage, for the energy usage, for the sources that we have, even kind of plastic consumption, and even for the taking care of that, if, for example, after drinking water, we can kind of squeeze the bottle and put it in the basket related to the recycle and so on. This small contribution is kind of, as I told you, can be considered as a step forward to the sustainability. So it's a matter of it's a matter of responsibility. I have to feel responsible. Okay, if each individual feel responsible, it's going to be like the effect. It will be the commutative. It's going to be collective contribution.
Without being overly gross, we all consume, and every day there's waste. So there's our bodily waste, but there's also the things that we throw away. All right, and that's a lot. If you think of a city like, say, Bangkok, for example, arguably 8-9 million people, unofficially maybe 11-12 million people.
Correct.
That's a lot of rubbish every day. And so I think if you multiply the what can I do by that 8 million, that's significant. If I choose to have my water without that plastic straw and drink it like that, that's one less straw. And you think, one less straw, that's nothing. But if everyone in this room does that, that could be 10 less straws.
Correct.
If the university does it, that becomes 2,000 less straws today. And then you have tomorrow and the next day. So if it's 2,000 less plastic straws today, and for those of you out there, we're talking about the straw you put in to drink through, not a pen. But if that's 2,000 less straws today, that's 10,000 less straws this week. That's 40,000 less straws a month. That's 500,000 less straws a year. That's phenomenal. We're talking, like change. And so you're right. I think individually, you can do something, I can do something, and we can do something. Very, very good. Very good.
And I think we have to see it like the, I can say, more generally, not only for the individual contribution, because when we talk about the straw, some manufacturing companies, they are producing that straw, okay? So probably they might think, oh, it's going to be endangered, or the situation for them. But the thing is, at any time, they might come up with some innovation for some subsidiary products in their industry. If it's like a plastic for the food, for this one, for any kind of food dishes, they can kind of be innovative. So as we spoke about AI, that might kind of remove many jobs from the humans, probably yes in some fields, but it's a matter of human how to use AI as well. Similarly for this one, if you want to be sustainable, the individuals can have some contribution. At least even if they use the straw, they can kind of after that recycle it in a kind of deposit it in a better way.
Yes.
So that the recycling manufacturing for the plastic sector, they can kind of easier to do their job for the recycling.
Rather than going
process.
into the clongs and into the
Rather
sewage.
than the landfills to kind of,
Can we go back to your straw manufacturing company?
Right.
So maybe it means the company, if it's not going to go the way of the dinosaur, because it's either, produce or perish, if it's going to survive, they could look at then biodegradable straws. No, some people do paper straws,
That's
cardboard
correct.
straws.
I agree.
Some people don't like it because they become soggy.
Correct.
Well, that's a challenge then for industry to say, let's make a straw that can withstand, that time drinking, that's biodegradable, or a whole new market. And I remember one time being given a present of a stainless steel straw and stainless steel chopsticks in a little container to say, you don't need to buy a straw, you don't need to take your straw anymore. I need to remember to take it with me when I travel,
Can I mention one of the difficulties or the obstacles the manufacturers they might feel or think if they see or if they face the changes like this? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is kind of a contribution towards sustainability if they go for the bio products and so
Yes.
on. Okay. But how about the market? They have to see the market, who is going to use that. If there is any tendency in the market to use this kind of bioproduct, it looks green, it looks good, okay? It's kind of pro-environment, but they have to see their market. Another problem or obstacle for the manufacturers is the budget or risk investment, okay? Basically, they have some budgets, they have some profits every year, and they keep it for probably expanding or the other cost or the expenses that they have. And they need sometimes for the like a loan or the budget from the government sector, private sector, and probably public sectors. That is also an obstacle to getting updated, upgraded, and so on. That's why usually the manufacturers they're okay with what they have, okay, what they're doing.
I'm often critical of the youth, right? But I know that Gen Z, for example, the new generations are actually more aware than my generation was, baby boomers. They're more aware. And a lot of them now are even looking at companies like, where does this company stand as far as sustainability? Where does this company stand as far as social good? Community service, and they're actually applying to companies which they believe are doing social good, that are reducing carbon footprints, are becoming more proactive in recycling. I think that's a testament to one of the good parts about the youth, is they're becoming more discerning about those issues. So while I'm often very critical, I also praise that, because I think my generation, we didn't have the population, so it was less impact, but we didn't seem to care as much about the recycling and the reusing, the re-gifting of things. So I think there's a lot there. We're running out of time. Amir, again, this has been a real pleasure.
Great pleasure.
I hope our friendship is sustainable, which means we both need to work on it. We both need to...
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Coffee with Karl. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for joining me in this episode of Coffee with Karl. Hopefully the episode was a benefit in your personal and professional growth, and the tips, tools and takeaways will further help you. Thank you.